Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bob Wahl Show. We have another good lineup today. We have Jacob Goodwin with Oryn Construction Services back for his second appearance on the Bob Wahl Show. And today we're going to talk about, we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to talk about how to make your home more green when building new construction.
Yep.
So, James, thanks for coming back on.
Thank you, Bob.
I'll have you start off. I'll just let you take over. So people are building home. They want to be, energy efficient, have an awareness toward green technology. What's available? What can they do to help with that?
Well, so you bring up an interesting question. People have different opinions or thoughts of what green really means in a home. Of course, there's green as far as the products that we put into a home, how they're made, right? So the drywall, the wood, the composite materials, things that are environmentally friendly, they often are a little more costly as far as building the house, but they're also better for the environment, hence the term green. I try to focus on, when it comes to making a house more green, more efficient systems that it takes to manage the house's resources. So if we were to look at mechanical, which would be your heating and cooling, or your electrical, or your plumbing, these are all systems that can be incorporated into having a greener, quote unquote, a greener house. And so let's talk about electricity for a moment. LED lighting, we have come to a place in time in the construction and remodeling industry where LED lighting is no longer priced so high that only the elite or the wealthy can afford LED lighting in their house. People can go into Home Depot, they can go to Lowe's, they can go to Menards, and they can literally buy LED lighting off the shelf. And LED lighting does a few things for us. The bulbs are about the size of your pinky nail, and they'll last, depending on the manufacturer and the make, anywhere from 10 to 20 years. And they give out great light. Not only are they affordable, but these lights give out really good light. They use about 60% to 70% less electricity and produce at least that much less heat than your traditional light bulb. The other thing we can do as far as electricity goes is we can buy switches that work with timers, and we can actually program our lights to go on at certain times of the day at night and turn off, and that is also a very efficient use of lighting and electricity. A lot of times the water heaters we're buying, the furnaces we're buying, any other major appliances, there are more and more in the industry that are available to us that actually come with a standard. They're actually made to use less electricity and less resources, even gas. So those are important ways as far as electrical goes that we can make a house more green. Let's talk about heating and cooling. Things that are actions we can take that are relatively inexpensive. I'll start with the inexpensive ones that help our house be more green and more energy efficient, use less energy to heat and cool a home, and then to retain that warm or cool air longer or lose it less. A lot of things work around insulation and ceiling gaps. So we might use R30 or R40 in our attics, right? We might insulation. That's an R value. We might go around at all of the outlets and plugs and put a little foam filter or on the wall side of a plate, and that's something we can do ourselves, and that'll keep drafts out. That'll help us keep cool and warm air in. Something that has been around for a long time in that measure would be window technology, right? So when it comes time to replace a window in the house, look for a good window. It can be vinyl. It doesn't have to be wood. It does not have to be aluminum or a fiberglass, but it can be a good vinyl window that is argon filled, so it has a gas seal inside the window, and it also has a low E treatment on it that keeps ultraviolet warm rays from shining through. It at least makes them less warm. And that will help maintain the temperature in your house. Other things we can do include looking at our ductwork. Wherever you can get to ductwork, make sure that all the transitions where the ductwork, if it's older metal ductwork, you can tape the seams where metal has been attached to other metal. All you have to do is, it's fairly easy, hold your hand up in those areas, see, wait and feel. If you feel a draft, if you feel air coming out of the ductwork, you know that's a spot where it's leaking, and you can tape that area. And where your ductwork meets a diffuser, right, the actual vent end or termination that comes out into the room, oftentimes mechanical workers, they will either forget or they just won't seal those couplings or attachments, so you lose a lot of air inside the wall that doesn't reach the space. And then if we go to, so that's, I think probably one thing that a lot of people often ask about when it comes to green technology is they say, Jacob, we are interested in geothermal heating and cooling. Is this something? How affordable is it? How efficient is it? How green is the technology? And my answer to someone is this: geothermal heating and cooling is a great system for the house. It uses the Earth's resources in a different way than a standard furnace or air conditioner. It uses the Earth's temperature. It uses the temperature of the Earth as its baseline for heating and cooling your house, and then it makes up the gap. If you need to be 10 degrees higher or lower to be at a comfortable warm or cool environment in the house, then you have you don't have to work the systems don't have to work so hard and so long to make up that gap. The problem is that technology is still fairly expensive. It's hard to repair or maintain if you have a system where the cores, the holes that they put into the earth to access that air, if those collapse, or you have to service those. So what we've done as an industry is we've come up with very efficient air conditioners and furnaces that are 96-98% efficient, that are just as, if not more efficient than a geothermal heating and cooling system.
That makes sense.
They can cost a little less to not only put in the house originally, but also to maintain
is huge, for sure.
And that's a little more affordable for people. So let's talk about water. There has been so much that is taking place in the plumbing industry over the last 2 decades when it comes to water. Bringing the service to the house, having enough water pressure in the house to serve all the fixtures, the bathrooms, the kitchens, the laundry. We've come a long way in this technology. And what we're trying to do as a country, and I think other countries are doing this as well, is we are trying to reduce the amount of water we waste in a house. Here's an example. You're on the second floor, you're in the master bathroom. It's the bathroom that's furthest away. It's the one room, the one water source that's furthest away from the hot water heater that's in the basement. In order to get hot water in the bathtub, you've got to let that water run. You've got to turn on the hot water and let it run for 2 to 3 minutes before you actually get hot water. So we've dumped maybe, I don't know these exact figures, but let's say we're dumping 10 to 20 gallons of water down into the drain before we actually get hot water. That's inefficient.
We do it. My house does it. Oh Lord, it takes at least 2 minutes. At least 2 minutes.
At least 2 minutes
to get it warm.
Oh,
so,
I bet.
Yeah,
I bet.
Yeah.
So you're using a lot of gas and electricity to make that happen, and you're siphoning through a ton of water before you finally get the water that you want at the temperature you want.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the things we're doing to help be more efficient with our water, more green, are we're putting in hot water heaters that heat the water a lot faster.
Okay.
And we're putting in these systems that can actually push that hot water sooner to the designated point. We're also putting, for a couple $100, you can put instant hot water heaters under your sinks. And at a place like a kitchen or a main bathroom that's used often, these are a very good idea because you instantly have hot water instead of boiling water for tea or throwing it in the microwave or waiting for water to get hot enough to wash your hands in, or for those of us who still wash dishes by hand.
Right.
You can have hot water right there. And you can mix it with cold water as well, but the source is directly underneath the sink. It's efficient, it's inexpensive, and it gets the job done.
Okay.
The other thing that the industry has done over the last few decades, the industry has started manufacturing what we call low flow devices or faucets and fixtures in our bathrooms. Many of us Americans can't stand this because it really restricts water flow, right? We don't get that powerful gushing of water that we used to get through older fixtures, and also through gate valves that weren't restricting water pressure as well in our homes. So low flow water devices, you can even get toilets, or they call them water closets, that do this. Any faucets, shower heads, and fixtures have this component already built in. And then I'd say the final part of a greener home that a homeowner at least has control over, or can bring into the house on their own, would be appliances. Most appliances meet minimal standards and regulations now that say they have to be energy efficient with electricity or gas, and they have to use, they have to restrict water. They have to be able to do so much with less water. And so just paying attention to what appliances you're bringing into the home, reading the labels. Sometimes, or oftentimes, there are great rebates and other incentives offered with these appliances. They get pretty. Science and technology has allowed us to go really far with just how efficient our appliances can be. Washers and dryers are a very popular item right now, and that's perhaps one of the biggest areas, I'd say, outside of the dishwasher, where we see this technology taking place.
Cool. Well, you covered it.
Yeah.
You covered it. So, but yeah, it's really cool, some of the options that they have and things you can do to make your home more green, or whatever.
They do.
Whatever word you'd like to use for saving money and being more efficient. So.
Yeah. And the thing is, mom and dad can do this stuff.
Yeah.
It's not always necessary to hire someone to go around and essentially put foam filters behind your face plates on your switches or your receptacles. Many dads out there, or moms, can install a energy efficient dishwasher, or washer and dryer. Faucets are getting easier and easier to install by homeowners.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming on. That really gets really good information, gives people a lot of good information as far as when they're building a new home, things to think about if they have green in the back of their head. So But all right, well, thanks everyone. Thanks Jacob for joining us.
Absolutely.
That includes another episode of the Bob Wall Show. I will see you guys next week, and goodbye for now.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
See you guys.